What we did on the House floor today is take the excess funds. These are funds that were generated last year in addition to the revenue we anticipated being generated. Just as a side note, as some people are confused, they think there was a revenue failure last year. There was a revenue failure that was called last year. It actually didn't occur. Not only was there not a revenue failure, we took in an additional $83 million. We took those funds in 3 separate bills and we sent it proportionally to the affected agencies. We also passed with a bipartisan, by the way, I do need to, before I stop, I said I would do this. I want to thank the Democratic caucus. This was all done in a bipartisan manner. When we got the 2/3 votes for the rainy day, which is constitutionally what was required, we did that with almost universal support. I think there were 3 no votes on the board. We took that rainy day fund, that $23 million, and stuck it directly into mental health. This fills approximately 50% of the budget hole. We can also announce at this time that the Oklahoma House of Representatives is going to hear a bill that will take the currently 4% wells, what are called the legacy wells, and we are going to move that gross production tax from 4% to 7%. That can be done as a 51-vote measure because that is a rebate structure inside the statutes. It specifically says it's a rebate. In addition to that, we will be looking at this point, targeted cuts that do not hit core services. Even at that level of funding, and we are still working among the House of Representatives, I would actually say that the communication has been better between the House Democrat and Republicans this past week to week and a half than it's probably ever been since I've been up here. Does that mean an agreement will be reached? I don't know. I think what you heard on the floor today, the chances of a grand bargain are gone. I mean, you heard on the floor today that even the bill that is coming out of committee, the very people pushing for that bill to be heard on the floor are also announcing their no when the bill comes to the floor. I'm on record on that bill, so I feel like I have what's the best way to say this? I feel like I have some authority in being able to speak for it. I supported that bill in the committee. I put my vote on the board. But I am sick of giving my constituents good intentions and good ideas. It is time that all parties get serious and start calling for solutions. Now, what we saw last week was, well, what we saw, frankly, last weekend was disappointing to me, and I'm not going to engage in it. If what you're wanting is childhood name-calling and blaming of one side of the rotunda or the other side of the rotunda or the Democrats or the Republicans, you can get plenty of that in this building. You're just not going to get it from me. What I am telling you the Oklahoma House of Representatives is committed to doing, in addition to passing the bills we just passed, we are going to send over the 7% legacy wells, which leaves us about $60 million short. I hope there will be additional items that can be agreed upon by the Democrat and Republican Party in the House of Representatives. But what has become clear is any measure that advances this session, only 76 measures have to start in the House. The other chamber could run a 51. But what is becoming clear, and we accept that mantle, is that if anything is going to happen in this session, it's going to originate in the Oklahoma House of Representatives. And that's why we did what we did today. And that's why we are going to pass this week the legacy wells. And we're going to send those over to additional revenue. We will continue to look, and we are continuing to look now, how can we find $60 million worth of efficiencies without cutting core government services? That can be done. As a matter of fact, if you want to know what it looks like, the Oklahoma House of Representatives passed a budget that did exactly that. We could send that to you. That held, how many agencies flat? The Oklahoma House of Representatives passed a budget last session that held 15 agencies flat, had an additional $50 million in cuts from the other non-core government function agencies, and had a $1,000 teacher pay raise. So if you don't believe there can be a budget with that much cuts that still holds 15 agencies flat, it already exists. It's there for all to see. Now, I hope what we will do will be far more targeted. I hope even today, and I want to say good thing. I want to be clear. I want to say good things about the minority party. Even today, we have more meetings planned while we are working on other issues that we can put forward. But we have to bring this special session to a close. We have to stop making show votes just for the sake of bringing others along, and we have to start talking about what can pass. And that's the direction I think you're going to see the House moving. And what we did do today, if passed by the Senate and signed by the governor, which I believe will happen, will stave off these cuts that are supposed to happen in December. And it will put us on a more solid fiscal foundation moving forward. The House has continued to advance measures that had a low likelihood of success. And part of that was to show everyone in state government the reality of where we are in the Oklahoma House of Representatives, and that 640 is doing exactly what it was intended to do. Even now, when we see her pressure to continue to hear that bill on the floor that we heard in committee, which didn't pass committee, it had 1 Democrat out of 5 on the committee. That has 0 chance of passing the House without at least 3/4 Democratic support. So there's no reason to keep trotting these bills out. Eventually, as I said on the floor, I have some constituents that were texting me as a result of my vote for it some very nice things. One of the things I texted back is, I'm sick of giving them good votes. I'd like to give them good results. So what I'm hoping the House will do, and the direction the House is going to start taking, is looking towards bills that will pass, that will solve this problem. At this point, agreement or not, this needs to be done. This needs to be done right away. As a matter of fact, if this is not taken up immediately by the Senate and immediately by the governor, these draconian cuts will go into effect in December. There will be people that will lose their jobs for no reason, because the money is available and it is going to be used as part of whatever final agreement we reach. So we need to give it to them right now. So these agencies don't have to make the hard decisions that we're forcing them to make. State Question 640 is doing exactly what State Question 640 was intended to do. I mean, let's be clear. The citizens of the state of Oklahoma, not the legislature, put State Question 640 in there. The citizens of the state of Oklahoma have told us that we would like to empower any more than 1/4 of the entire legislature to stop any form of tax increase. At this point, we've gone at it every which way you can go at it. We've tried to do it this way. We've offered doubling of the gross production tax. You know, inside a representative democracy, it's possible for two people to vote different ways and both be right. The citizens of South and West Oklahoma City are very different than the citizens of the Panhandle. They have different needs, different desires, different wants. So I think right now the process is working exactly where the process was intended to work, frankly, and this will be the new norm. We can continue down this path that we know hasn't worked, and it goes back to what I said to my constituent. I'm tired of casting votes that don't fix the problem, and I think most members are. What do you do in the private sector when you've reached a true impasse? You talk about something else. I believe the citizens of Oklahoma want us to fix the problem, and those are the solutions the House of Representatives is going to move towards.